Today, we're going to talk about the Roli Seaboard and why it was a huge disappointment for me. When I first got my Roli Seaboard, I was really excited. I had been watching videos on YouTube. I saw some incredible performances that made it seem like a revolutionary way to make music on this new type of instrument. If you haven't watched Jordan Rudess shredding on the Seaboard, I'd recommend, seek out his videos on YouTube. They're definitely worth watching, and the performances they're amazing. So after I saw some stunning videos on YouTube and learned about the MPE capabilities of the Seaboard, I took the plunge. I bought the instrument without ever laying hands on it. And was that a mistake? A short time later, the unit arrived at my house and I unboxed it and I plugged it in. It comes with some software. One of the programs is called Equator, which has MPE programs on it. And also, you can use it with other software too. But I remember plugging it in, powering it on, connecting the software, and then the moment came where I put my hands on the Roli Seaboard. And what happened next, I wasn't expecting. I started with a simple chord. How hard can that be? I put my hands on the keyboard expecting to hear a nice chord. And instead what I got was this out of tune, unrecognizable mess. Yeah, my first impression, it was a disappointment. I think there's no other way of talking about it. From a distance, when you look at the Seaboard, it looks like a piano keyboard, but as soon as you put your hands on it, you realize it doesn't feel anything like any other keyboard or piano type instrument that you've ever played. At least that was the case for me. The first learning moment that I had was recognizing that the pitch layout on the Roli Seaboard it's somewhat fluid. So on a regular keyboard, your finger can be directly in the center of the key. It could be slightly to the left. It could be slightly to the right. It could be at the base of the key. It could be up top, toward the top of the key. And wherever your finger lands, let's say you're on the piano, you're going to get the pitch of the note that your finger is trying to hit. But on the Roli Seaboard, a minor movement of your finger from whatever is the true center of the note that you're trying to play can give you unexpected results. So takeaway number one for me was that working with the Roli Seaboard is something that it's going to take some work. It really is a unique and different instrument. So let's talk about the tactile experience. It's soft, it's squishy, it's very different from the defined key feel that you have on a piano or on a synth. If you expect to go straight from piano technique to the Roli Seaboard, well, prepare yourself for a shock. So let's talk about why it feels so different. Traditional pianos and keyboards give you firm keys, you get predictable touch, and there's this sense of structure under your fingers. The Seaboard, on the other hand, the analogy I came to use really quickly is that it feels like a fretless keyboard. It's like a fretless instrument. There's no rigid divisions, and your finger placement has to adapt. Sliding, bending, and subtle finger movements, that's the heart of this keyboard. That means if you come to it with a pianist's mindset, it can feel alien. And that's kind of the experience that I had at the beginning. And it can be really frustrating at first. But that's also where the opportunity comes in. The Roli Seaboard really shines at musical lines that can be fluid and sound natural with some pitch variation. So think of string instruments from violin to guitar. And if you've ever struggled to emulate the type of synth pitch bending in the Jan Hammer style, the Roli Seaboard might be your answer. For me, it feels so much more natural to bend and slide on this board than any other keyboard that I've ever played. I've tried to emulate that kind of Jan Hammer pitch bendy effect using mod wheel instruments, and while he's an absolute master of that, it hasn't come as natural to me with that medium, with the pitch bend wheel. But the Seaboard is a totally different animal. Let's talk about the MPE capabilities, because this is one of the characteristics that drew me to this particular instrument. This is where the magic, as well as the challenge, begins. The Seaboard is built around MPE, or MIDI polyphonic expression. And in a nutshell, what that means is every single note that you're playing can have its own pitch bend, its own vibrato, timbre, and dynamics, all controlled by your fingers. And it's not something that I think many players can exploit immediately. It takes practice to train your hands to control these subtle expressions. And that's part of the learning curve that you have to go through with the Roli Seaboard, and why you possibly could feel let down when first starting to work with this board. So having some MPE sounds connected to the Roli, you soon learn that a whole new world of expression opens up. You tap the note and you get one tone. You move your finger back and forth, kind of wiggle it, and you can get a beautiful vibrato. And if you slide your finger from the bottom of a note to the top of the note, depending on the sound programming, you might initiate a change in timbre. And sliding your finger left to right or right to left brings new ways of pitch sliding. That's really cool and sounds fantastic. So there's new sound shaping possibilities, but again, to really exploit them, this is something on the Roli Seaboard that takes practice. So my initial reaction with the Roli Seaboard was disappointment. I was frustrated with myself for not having tried one before I bought it. I didn't know if it was going to work out for me. The first day that I had it was not like anything I expected, and it felt like maybe I made a mistake buying the Roli Seaboard. And other reasons that people can be disappointed with getting the Seaboard, if you've never touched one before, you're going to realize immediately it doesn't feel like a piano. It doesn't feel like an organ. It doesn't feel like a synthesizer. It doesn't feel anything that has traditional keys that you press down on and there's this physical sensation. You might be disappointed because you're going to quickly learn that playing the Roli Seaboard requires a new playing technique. It's going to require a refined playing technique. And because the learning curve is notable, it can take weeks before you feel comfortable with the instrument. And because it's easy to expect instant magic, when in reality, this is an instrument you have to grow into, this is going to be something that if you're just looking for a keyboard you can plug into your system, turn to it, and play it like anything else that's in your studio or in your rig, this is going to be a disappointment because it, at least in my experience, it doesn't provide that immediate transition that's possible and that happens with just about everything else that's out there. But very quickly, this instrument grew on me in a big way. So one tip that I have is, if you get the opportunity, try before you buy. And yeah, it's a lot harder these days to audition musical instrument with the demise of brick and mortar stores. But because this instrument is so difficult to control, it's worth seeking out a place to try it before you buy it. In Southern California, I'm not 100% sure, but I would imagine a place like Perfect Circuit is probably a place, if anybody's going to have it, they would have it. And I've been driving there more often these days to check out new instruments that have been on my radar. And the purchases that are forthcoming are going to be from Perfect Circuit, because I do appreciate the opportunity these days. It's getting rarer and rarer to step inside a store and put my hands on an instrument. When all is said and done, though, here's the twist. Once you put in the time, the Seaboard becomes something truly unique. Again, I call it my fretless keyboard because it lets me do things that no other instrument in my collection can. The ability to bend notes, to glide between pitches, to control expression in real time in a way that I can't duplicate on any other instrument in my studio. It opens doors to sounds and performances that I just can't get on traditional keyboards. And it's become a go-to instrument for my recording, so much so that I've modified the template in my DAW to have dedicated tracks for MPE sounds that more often than not get played on the Roli Seaboard. And so far, this board has allowed me to record lines that I never would have been able to execute the same way on a traditional keyboard. So while my first impression was one of disappointment, maybe severe disappointment, today I cherish this board as one of the most creative tools that I own. So in closing, if you're considering a Roli Seaboard, know this. It's not a plug-and-play piano replacement. It is a brand new instrument with its own rules. Yes, you might be disappointed at first because it is so different. But once that initial moment passes, and if you stick with learning how to get the most out of the Seaboard, you might find that it becomes a cornerstone of your rig as it has for me. Have you played the Roli Seaboard? I'd be interested in your experiences and your impressions. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And with that, I'll be back soon with another video. Till then, happy music making.